So we have one of our keynote speakers with us today. We have Bob Branscombe with us, and he's been with the show now, the exhibition, for, is it 12 years and counting?
I think it's 12 years and counting, and a bit of COVID in between. So
And a bit
yes, yeah, can't quite remember. It feels a long time.
So, well, you're looking well on it, I've got to say, you're looking well.
Have you seen the posters? I don't look like this anymore.
Oh, right. We need to go and have a look back at that now. Okay, so his forte in his area is all to do with construction, procurement, also budgets, project management, making sure timelines working, budgets are working, everything that we've already been told, which is part of that planning and that ongoing process, but essentially right at the beginning of anyone's process of a build or of an improvement or a renovation. But I would like you, because there's a lot in that in those titles there, Bob.
Yep.
I would like you to expand. So if someone came to one of your seminars or someone came to speak to you one-to-one, let's try and break some of this down as to what it is they're going to be discussing with you.
Well, firstly, title. The longer the title, the less you actually do, if you look at it properly. But that aside, I cover pretty much all the areas that are non-touchy-feely. They are nothing to do with aspiration. They're not to do with the look, the feel. It's nothing to do with anything like that. It's more about all the boring and the administrative things that go on in the background that set the scheme up from a management point of view. So typically the one of the talks that goes down quite well is trying to manage cost, or to predict and then manage cost performance as the project runs through. So it doesn't tell you how much it's going to cost, because as we found in the last couple of years, that's a dangerous road to go down. But it does try to establish how to set a tool in place that you can track from the minute you want to start building right the way through to when you hand the keys to somebody or take the keys yourself and move in, and how every day you can refer back to that plan and it evolves alongside the program, the builders starting work, the design phase, getting planning permission, all the way through. It's the third part of the wheel that runs through that we forget about. Yeah. And when you're hoping and dreaming, that's the bit that you don't focus on, because you're worrying about your kitchen and your other bits, which is perfectly valid, but I'm trying to push back in this idea that you do have to do the boring bits at night. That's what that's there for. Project management kind of runs alongside that, in that that's trying to assist people to know there are gaps between tasks. That's what I'm focusing on. I don't need to tell bricklayers how to lay bricks. If you've procured properly and you've got the right people on board, they can lay their bricks. You know, that works. What I need to know is when the bricklayers are getting close to finishing and the carpenters are due to start, what happens at that interface? So do I need to do anything, buy anything, or get anything in place ready for the carpenters?
Okay.
Now, I don't need to know what those things are. What I want to show people is it's perfectly all right to go and ask. So they'll say to their appointed carpentry contractor, what do you need? What attendances do you want? Be it scaffold, be it strap down plate, whatever those things happen to be, who is responsible for all the gaps that I haven't understood? Yeah. And the really hard bit, and we're all guilty of it, is none of us like to look overly unknowledgeable. Some of us manage it quite well, but that's by the by. It's more that what you need to be able to do is have the confidence to say, I don't know, I don't understand. So it's perfectly all right to ask. Yeah. And to get everyone we get through needs to remember, because we forget it a lot, we think, a builder has spoken to me, therefore I must do as I'm told. We are top of the food chain, without meaning disrespect to anybody, but it's our money that's paying it all, it's our money that's procuring it, it's our job that it's happening. Therefore, ask the stupid question, push back against things, challenge things, and also accept the other people have the right to challenge you on the same thing. It's a trust relationship. So it's getting that. People management sounds a very grand way of saying just get a person in to do a job, but it's doing that and understanding how to then get to the next one and the next one and the next one. Yeah. And that then coincides with the keys being handed over and the money's worked, and in the ideal world, we're all geniuses and it's brilliant.
So that's how it should look in the ideal world.
That's it, yes.
However, so what I'm hearing then is, when you gave that example of brickwork to carpenters, so essentially it would be me, if I was going through this process, to say, so when you come to the end of it, can my carpenters come on straight away, or can whoever is next in the process come on straight away?
Correct.
And then it's speaking to the ones who are coming on next to say to them, okay, can you effectively come on, they finish on day 28 and I want you on day 29.
Yep.
Can you do that, or do you need to have something else in place?
Does something have to happen? Do you need some kit?
Yep.
Have I got to do a thing or get permission for something or sign something off that says you are good to go?
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. That's exactly
Because essentially, they know what the extras are at the beginning and the extras are at the end, but we don't if we've not done it before.
No. They not necessarily they know, but what we have to recognise is the more we manage our own projects, the more we forget. An oft used example is that surely a competent builder would know he should have finished like that, or provided that, or done this particular piece of work. If you haven't appointed them to do that, yes, they do know, there's no question, but why would they do it?
Really?
Yeah, why would they bother? Why would they spend more of their money? We have to recognise they are commercial organisations or commercial individuals that want to make a living and pay their own mortgages to do their own lives. We can't expect anything with nothing. So to go back to what you're saying, day 28, day 29, what we need to recognise is that they will, because we've appointed them on their own, they'll do that piece of work from start to finish brilliantly, and it's done. Window fitting, for example, the windows will turn up, they will be screwed in the holes they're supposed to go in, they're finished. If you've not worked out or had the understanding to know where they fit within the reveal, front or back. So we've got the old-fashioned, like our nan's house, where we've got a nice big window ledge, or we live in Poundbury and we've got a big stone thing on the outside. If that's not been established or worked out or just checked, what right have we got to expect them to know where it was going to go? Ooh. We're supposed to know that. Now, we're not supposed to know it technically. What we're supposed to know is, think, okay, I need to think, before I have this done, what do I want it to look like afterwards? Maybe my architect has already shown me, maybe the drawings show it. All I've done is look through to say, when that's finished, what is it going to look like? I don't have to know how to build it, I just have to know what I want in my head.
Yes.
And that is the essence of trying to understand the package and where the limits are and where the next one starts. So there should be no want of knowledge. Now there will be mistakes and all sorts of things like that will crop up.
Yeah.
But it's the fundamentals of like where the windows fit or
Yeah.
anything like that you need to get right.
Yeah.
And it's asking questions if you don't know. And that's the big impasse we get to, is we think, because we've appointed, somebody will, out of the love of their hearts, do it the way we already imagined it. Now, if you fit those windows at the front or at the back, doesn't mean they're wrong, they're just different than we wanted. So what right have we got to think that we won't pay them or they've done it wrong? We didn't tell them, that's all.
Right.
And it's just getting that established. And in its very essence, all we're trying to do is manage that process.
Be on the same page.
Yeah.
Have the same expectation. And so you're verbalising that and urging people that are coming to see you and coming to hear how you are guiding them through this process to say, don't be afraid to share your vision. Don't be afraid to ask, double check. We're both on the same page.
Yep.
We both know what we're expecting.
Yep.
Throughout
Ask
this.
questions. And the boring bit, the other side of it, is then comes on to a thing called contract documentation, which is a grand way of saying all the rules.
Okay.
So the way you would manage that process is when you appoint the bricklayers.
Yeah.
There will be a bit of paper or an email, back of a fag packet, something that will say, can you do this bit of work for this sum of money? What is to stop us then maybe attaching a set of drawings to that, so it shows how the windows fit in. That's already been drawn, that's details already there. So they know that the bricks return round to the window because it's a big sill, rather than stop at the edge where the window fits, because that's more work. So again, there's no want of knowledge.
Yeah.
And that becomes part of their appointment. By the same token, if they are to put the wall plate on, bedded on mortar, before the roof goes on, because bricklayers are better at mortar than carpenters, it's written in there that that's part of their work. So then the carpenters just screw it with a strap and a nail and what have you, but they can then carry straight on from a level perimeter of the building, rather than being left with raw bricks that they've got to faff about with, and you get someone back and it's all what we see on the telly. It's,
Right.
it's just making sure that every package is thought about in its own right.
Wow.
And how that fits in. So the kitchens, for example, you can get your kitchens procured, and generally what we do is go to a far nicer firm than the usual ones. They design, they're going to fit it, it's going to be wonderful, everyone loves it. We all know that the obvious thing is the worktops go on after, and they are templated either with a bit of lining paper drawn round or a laser thing that now happens, and it all works wonderful. But who is making sure that before the kitchen goes in, that where the sink goes in the island, there's a pipe full of water coming up, a pipe full of hot water coming up, and a pipe to take the dirty water away going down?
Right.
And is it in the right place? The plumbers putting it in should have a drawing showing the location. But if you then plan your kitchen and tweak things, have you gone back and thought, pipe's in the wrong place?
Okay.
When you watch the telly, they'll be in the wrong place and they'll dig it up and it'll all be exciting and then they've borrowed more money. In practice, actually, it's about coordination. It's just getting all the parties and saying to the kitchen guys, plumbers have put the pipes there, is that all right with you?
Yeah.
And by them saying yes, you've moved risk onto them. So you're just looking to transfer it. Everybody's informed. Nobody can say to you after, oh, didn't know that, I'm sorry. Because why would they ask? They don't need to. They've been paid just to fit the kitchen. So your job is to do it. And part of what I'm trying to do with the talks and the other stuff is just to say, this isn't overly technical. There's nothing about a pipe full of water coming out that we don't all understand. But just check it's in the right place. That's all.
Yeah.
Fairly easy, really.
And check everybody knows where we're at.
And most importantly, if I'm using the Chartered Surveyor bit, is who can I blame and sue if it's wrong?
Oh, gosh!
And that's actually the bit that comes into play. So when you build it into a point, you are looking for who, if you transfer risk, you're not transferring risk just because it's somebody else's problem. You're transferring it so it's their fault. And that's the liability piece. So that rounds it off. What we tend to do, and I'm probably at odds with everyone else involved with the show, is I try to get people to think that the minute they start work properly, they are developing UK real estate. They are not building a dream. They're developers.
Okay.
They are commercial.
As if they're working for somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're doing it, so they're always protecting their investment. So it's worth more at the end than it's not, and I'm looking at everyone out there for that. The whole thing works as a commercial thing until such a point as it all signed off, everything's happy, everyone's comfortable, you've got some keys, then you start living your dream again.
Okay.
You dream till the green light starts, and then when it's finished, you dream again. But in between, you are, let's say, commercially minded all the way through.
So you're the contractor, you're the project manager.
You're in charge, and it has to turn a profit.
Yeah.
And it's naive to think you shouldn't try and turn a profit, just because if the last 2 years have taught us anything, the economy is not terribly predictable. So build some buffer space into what you're doing. And I can say from experience, knowing there is headroom in what you're doing, debt isn't frightening then. Because headroom means you can always get out. The frightening bit is when you know you can't necessarily get out until that point. That's when you don't sleep. So build it in properly.
And so I think that it's going to be so positive for people to come here and actually be privy to your speech and your seminar, because doing it for yourself, you sort of like try and befriend everybody that's on the job, and actually that's not the best way to go about it, is it?
Yes and no. You are not in business to make lifelong friends. That's the first thing. That isn't the case, because you can guarantee that bricklayer will not walk away from your job and think, thank God I met that person, they're on my Christmas card list. They'll go to the next job and hope they get paid from that one as well.
Yeah.
But it is a human interaction. There is a key thing here that we often forget as well. We're only one-sided, and we think the best thing is the best price, get what we want, drive down, really push. What we forget is that the person the other side of that deal is appraising us the same way. So that carpenter is looking and he's saying to us, right, this is the job, this is how much I was going to price it as, and they've chipped the price. They've chipped the price, why? They've chipped it because either they haven't got as much money as they thought, or they're merciless. Either way, that's not an ideal start. So do I trust them? Am I going to get paid? I better build in a bit more money to make sure I get... So if trust works both ways, and this all sounds we should all dance and it'll all be wonderful that we all love each other, but it is about recognising the opposing side needs to trust you as much as you trust them. It is an ongoing relationship, and it's based on respect. They have to make a living. To expect someone to come to do things for you and not make money is ludicrous. Yet we kind of do that, don't we? We think we've got another pound off, another pound off, another pound off. Why would they be bothered to do it for us?
Yeah.
Let's say you're going to buy your kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's £10,000, and you push and you push and you push and you get it for £8,000, or you get a special show deal and it's £7,000.
Yeah.
If they're going to lose money or not make money, do you not think that when they make that kitchen, fit that kitchen, or come to the fact that the pipes don't quite line up, they'll find a way to make it work because then they're out and they've made enough that they can? That's when you find, look behind your kitchen cupboards, everyone, and if the pipes are going at zany, funny angles, they were doing it quick. There's a lot of things, people still work to the price they're given for the job. If you give me £1 to write you an article, you'll get an article, but it isn't going to have very many words.
Got it. So
It'll be
when
great,
we come
but
to
it won't
you-
have many words.
So when we come to you
Yes.
and we're listening to your seminar,
Yep.
what is it that people are going to receive from the seminar? What is it that they are going to glean from this to go, oh, I feel more assured now I've got a better understanding?
Hopefully they will glean the idea that time is on their side, so time spent at the beginning pays dividends. In our little world of self-build, time's one of the few things that's free, so use as much of it as you want. They also will come away, I hope, with the understanding that they are in charge. They are not at the mercy of the supply chain. There are millions of builders out there. There are millions of clients out there. It's just a question of finding the right people that want to work together. And hopefully they'll also recognise that with a little bit of thought and paperwork, you can actually build a system to control the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the last bit they'll recognise is that if we were going to make a television programme about it, we'd perhaps write a number down at the beginning that's our budget and our plan, and we'd do a lot of work.
Yeah.
And then we'd put it in a drawer, and we'd wait till the end to prove how it did or didn't fail.
Right.
What we need to do is every day is avoid what I would call kick down the road syndrome.
What's that?
Kicking the can down the road because you know there's a problem, but if you just boot it further along, it'll catch you in the end. So
Okay.
every day you look, you compare your budget, you compare your program every single day because you've got time at night. You know what you've got to buy coming up, you know what you've got to spend. Even if nothing's changed, that just says I'm doing it right. So you're just each day revisiting, and problems then are issues to be resolved, not disasters that you know are looming and just getting worse.
Yeah.
Money and interest compound, so do problems. So you deal with them at the beginning.
It sounds like your talk is definitely going to empower people.
Oh, that's good, isn't it?
I feel empowered by listening to you.
I hope it reassures that everybody possesses the intellect, the background and the ability to do it. What they don't possess is necessarily the confidence because it's an industry they don't know.
Yeah.
But actually there's nothing. Yes, techniques can be learnt, skills can be learnt, but actually the process of managing it. Go to the supermarket to do the big shop. That's a project. Now you manage that by writing a list, which is your specification for your job.
Yeah.
You look at the logistics and the resources, which is the car, it's got petrol, and you've got a bag for life full of bags for life. Yeah? We call it the bag, but I don't know what anyone else does. So
bag of
you've got the backup for that. You've got the money in the bank that you've checked, so you know that's the constraints financially. You then go within the allotted time frame, you do the big shop, you come home, you put it away, and you appraise your project. You've bought more bags because you left them in the car and all that. But generally you're looking, saying we've got food for the family for the week. The car hasn't broken, so it's back. All the food's put away, so we've finished that bit of the project, and we had enough money to pay for it. That project was a success with a few parameters we'll learn for next time, which is we probably don't need as much cheese or whatever it is you bought. But all of those things mean, and there's no difference in the intellectual approach to doing anything. Now, yeah, maybe we shouldn't build nuclear power stations on that basis, but normal work we do, all those things are there. All we haven't done is use bigger words and Venn diagrams and programs and spreadsheets. We've written a list or we've guessed as we went round. But even that guessing isn't random. You go in the shop, you know that's the shampoo we like. I don't like that one, even though it's own brand. All of those things we've already done.
Yeah.
But we did it through prep
Yeah.
because we just do the same thing with our buildings.
Yes.
It's like going shopping. It's
So
really
I like
not.
that example.
But it works. It does
yeah,
work.
it
yes.
makes it more friendly.
Yes, of course. Just make everything soft and cuddly and it'll be fine.
Yeah, well.
Yes.
And it does definitely instill confidence as well.
Yes.
Because we've got the capabilities, we've got the
absolutely.
skill set, we've been doing it for a long time, but we just didn't think that we could map it over onto doing it with property.
We also have the internet. Didn't used to have that, and that's brilliant because you can look up how something's made.
Yeah.
That's really quite handy.
Yeah.
I don't suggest we buy. If we use the prices we're quoted and anecdotal evidence, the internet's terrifying because it's full of liars.
Right.
But as a means to say, British Gypsum, for example, they have a really cool resource where you can look through and it shows plasterboard details for how ceilings and walls meet and what the frame. So you can actually look and think that's quite complicated. I wonder how that works.
Yeah.
So when your architect says, do we want metal framed work or stud work or block, you're not just saying which is best because that's quite emotional. I like it or I don't like it. You can do some research yourself and say, actually, that's an extra trade or an extra that. You're just starting to inform yourself as though you were going to buy a car or a watch or go to the supermarket. You buy a brand new car, if you're lucky enough to do that, you have spec'd it before you walked into the showroom. You know the impact of having bigger tires. Why don't we do it with houses?
Yeah. I'm only going in the showroom if I know what I'm there to buy.
I want to go in to try it out, that's all.
Yeah, totally. We've already made all of those decisions.
Exactly, or to show off because I've already bought one and I like it. Yeah. Yes. No, you've done the research, the market is there to be plundered, and the internet is really cool for that.
So this is investing in you, investing in your project.
Yep.
It is totally do your own research, apply those skills that you've got and just reinvent them so that it's perfect for this journey that you're going on in your life. And it sounds as though you really help with that process.
Well, I hope so. The other thing to keep in your mind is that project management, for example, is called project management, not project doing it. So by managing it, if that means you employ a person that is a sub-project manager for those pinch points that you need, or a quantity surveyor to help you draw up a cost plan, or you're just bringing resources that are available all over the world to suit your purposes. You are managing it, you're moulding it.
Yeah.
You're not doing it all yourself. We've all fallen for that. I've certainly done it myself, where you can build things, you find yourself screwing bits of wood together and carrying on and virtually killing yourself. That's DIY, not self-build. Self-build is about doing it for yourself. And
nice.
Nice, good. I've been
like
working on that for something like 12 years. It works well. But yes, it's doing it for yourself, not doing it yourself. And it works.
We need to put that somewhere. That's a really good phrase.
I've got millions of them. Yes.
Bob, it has been absolutely amazing talking to you. And you've made this so that it's much more easy for me to understand. I'm not going to lie, at the beginning of the conversation, I was a little bit like, oh, I'm definitely the novice. But I feel as though I've grown already just in this conversation. And actually, I feel confident that if that ever came up in my life, it would be a case of, no, I can do this. I've done other things before.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid.
No, that's all it is. You haven't got to learn and know stuff. Just interrogate, ask, question, push back, challenge. That's all.
And I'm all right at asking questions.
Yeah, no, you've done all right there.
Bob, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
I hope the remainder of today goes well and that people come in and they take this from you, that they don't be afraid and that they do ask and that they learn the difference between DIY and self-build. Yep. That's massive that's come out of this today.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much,
don't
my
buy
darling.
Ladders. Thank you very much indeed.
All right,
no,
thank
appreciate
you, Bob.
it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Here at SMJ Media Group, we are a non-profit company providing fun, free content for local businesses. If you like our content and would like to support us, please visit buymeacoffee.com/SMJ Media Group and buy us a coffee.